Welcome, everybody, to the IPF Forum for 2024. It's great to have everybody here. There's a lot of people here today, so welcome, everyone. It's nice to see everyone come out. My name is Darcy Murdoch. I'm going to be co-emceeing this event today with my good friend Bob Meller. And I'd like to introduce, to start off the show, the lovely and talented Fran Schooley, who's a, what are you? Oh, she's a clinical nurse with ILD. Give it up for Fran, everybody. Is this about you?
No, this is the piece of this.
Oh, yes. She's ever bossy. Nevertheless, we are sharing on this ancestral and unceded homelands of the Hankaminam, the Squamish, and the Seacom peoples, and are grateful to be on this territory. Fran.
Thank you, Darcy.
All right.
You did very well. Well, welcome to, I think it's our, oh, can everybody hear me now? No? They didn't give us a riser, and short of doing that, I have to stand on a chair. So, welcome to the 9th Annual Forum. It's great for everybody to come out. We've had a few blips along the path getting here, with the pause that we had for 2 years with using Zoom and having the forum via the video portion of it. And louder? Maybe my mic isn't on.
It's on, just a little closer to it. There you go.
How's that? Nobody usually tells me to talk louder. Anyways, welcome, and we appreciate everybody coming out. We want you to share with everybody that's around you. Make your friends in the ILD world and what is happening. We have a great lineup of speakers here, and who have kindly given their time for us and to be part of the education that goes along with the forum. Recognizing the difficulties with this kind of disease or condition, and what it does to the toll that it takes on your everyday life. It encourages us to continue on in the clinics that we've got, knowing that we can help in any small way. So we will start off with, is Bob? No, Darcy, are you talking first? Darcy is going to introduce the program, and we'll be serving coffee. We thought it was going to come around 9:30, but I gather it's going to be around 10. You'll be ready for it by then, okay? And we'll see you later in the morning.
Thank you very much, Fran. And by the way, there's a fantastic lunch, too. So I'm here to say a few words about getting and having a lung transplant and being on the journey. In January of next year, I will be 10 years since my lung transplant. So I'm pretty proud of that, and that's quite an achievable. Thank you. And let me say it's been quite a ride, but an amazing ride. So what I'm here to say to you today is whatever journey you're going through, or whatever part of the journey that you're going through, you're not alone. By a show of hands, who has had a transplant? Put your hands up if you had a transplant. Very good, thank you. And who's on the waiting list for a transplant? Anybody in the room on the list to wait? Okay, is anybody doing the build-up or the pre-transplant? Ah, very good, okay, good. Well, as we all go along these... Pardon me?
I said that there's those of us that don't want a transplant.
Very good, well, welcome. You know, it's a personal decision, and I respect that. But what I'd like to say to you is when you go through these emotional times, I remember when I had my transplant and I was first diagnosed, it's like a punch in the gut. Came right out of the blue. Scared me to death. I thought I was going to die right away, and I didn't have anybody to turn to. Now, this is back in 2011 when I was diagnosed. And back then, we didn't have any Facebook pages, or the only support groups we had were bi-monthly at VGH. So that's how I found comfort and solace was in those groups. But nowadays, advancing 10 years, there's so much out there for people that are going through what they're going through. You have Facebook groups now that you can go on to, ask questions, get answers, things of that nature. You can call people. I will give anybody my telephone number, and you can call me if you want, just not between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., okay? But I'm happy to talk to anybody, and so is my friend Bob Meller. We've got Paul Hendricks over here. Feel free to call anybody. Don't be alone. Don't be scared, because there's so much out there for you to look forward to. And once you get yourself on the list, it's another step of your journey. And then once you get the call, it's an amazing thing. Now, unfortunately, some people will not be getting a transplant. My thoughts are with you on that, because that's just part of the natural chain. So if anybody wants my number, feel free to contact me or come and see me, and I'll give that to you by all means. But that's what I wanted to say. And if you've got a pen, I'm going to write down. I'd like you to write down a couple of things for me. There's two Facebook pages that you can go on to. The first one is called the BC Pulmonary Fibrosis Support Group. The BC Pulmonary Fibrosis Support Group. Now that's a private page, so you have to answer a few questions, because we just don't want anybody coming in. It's got to be people that are concerned about health and what have you. So the BC Pulmonary Fibrosis Support Group, easy questions to answer, and you're in. And the second one is the BC Yukon Lung Transplant Support Group. Please go on to these pages and just check it out. There's a wealth of information. Nobody can give you medical advice because we're not trained professionals, but we can tell you what we've gone through and share things of that nature. So my advice is to get those happening right away. Phone whoever. Like, don't stay at home alone. Reach out. Because back in the day when I didn't have anybody to reach out to. I would talk to my family, and of course they would provide comfort. But once you get into talking to people that have been through what you're going through, it's a big relief. I remember the first time that I went to a support group meeting, I thought, oh, this is fantastic, I'm home. Because there was people at this meeting that had transplants before, people that were waiting for a transplant, and I could talk to them and say, what did you go through? And they would explain it. And it was very heartwarming and very helpful, I should say. So I hope I provided a little bit of information. Feel free to come and talk to me or Bob or Paul or Ellen over there, who's almost 8 years. So we're like seasoned veterans now. We've been through it all, and I got to tell you, life is good. Do what you're supposed to do, exercise, drink an adequate amount of water, keep a good attitude, take your medication properly, listen to your doctors, and life is good. So there you go. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass the microphone over to my fellow lung transplant recipient, Bob Meller, who's approaching 9 years, and Bob and I are co-sharing the MC duties today. So Bob, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
All right.
Well, Darcy's took a bit of my thunder. Darcy and I had a transplant the same year. He was in January, I was in November. So he's on 10, I'm just coming up on 9. Anyway, I had idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis myself way back in 2014, and went through everything that a lot of you are going through. Had the oxygen, coughing, what have you, and very fortunate to have a transplant, and here I am, still involved because both of us want to try to give back and help educate people and hopefully allay any of the fears that you may have. The one transplant, or the not transplant, but one of the Facebook pages, which is the Pulmonary Fibrosis Facebook support group, I'm the admin of that. And so if you don't answer the questions, you don't get in. And I was mentioning earlier, I've had just all sorts of people from all over the world trying to get in to it, where it clearly says BC residents only. Sometimes other people get in because they're relatives of people who are part of the group, and I let them join. So anyway, that's the purpose of the questions. And you don't want to hear me talk anymore. So let's move on.